Let's get to it because I know I'm running a little late. I'm glad you mustered up the nerve to search this up or at least clicked on this suggested video, because this is something that you've been putting off and you know it's time. So amen to showing up. How do you love yourself? Let's talk about it. First step into loving yourself: accept your mistakes and your faults. Cry about it, get mad, so you can comfort yourself and tell yourself it's okay. Don't worry about it. It was just a little mistake. You're growing. You know, this is how you're gonna accept all the mistakes that you've made, the things that you shoulda, coulda, woulda done. When you accept the things of your past and these mistakes and things that you wish you did differently, yeah, it sucks. You remember the stupidity you might have felt. You remember the disappointment, these shitty feelings, but ultimately that's when you have to show up for yourself and you accept it and you realize that it's something from the past. It formed you into who you are today. And even if you don't like who you are today, you will eventually see how beautiful that experience transformed you, even if you don't see it now. And I know that's cliche, but in these moments, this is how you show up for yourself. You be there for yourself. And I wrote this down because these are the things that I want you to tell yourself. So when you're comforting yourself, I want you to say, I did the best I could. There's a bigger picture that we just don't see yet. But most importantly, I'm here for you, even when you think you're alone, but you will never be alone because I'm here and I'm gonna make sure we're okay. This is what you need to tell yourself. From there, we have to work on believing you are lovable. You do this through the love that you show yourself and the love that you surround yourself with. So how do you show yourself you love yourself? How do you show yourself you love yourself and you would do anything for her? How do we do that? Okay, well, one of them is start by comforting her. Stop hating her. Why are you always trying to punish and put her down and like condemn her and be like, you're such a dumb, why would you do that? For someone that you really love unconditionally and you want to support, uplift, if it's your daughter, little sister, niece, nephew, your friend, your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, they make mistakes and go through rough patches in their life, do you really tell them like you should have done better, you're dumb? No, you say it's a mistake, you're gonna get through it, right? This is the love that you gotta show yourself. I'm not just talking about showing up for yourself when you're in these dark times, but I just mean in the day-to-day life. I can tell you things that I do for myself to show myself that I love myself, but the reality is that looks different for everyone in everyone's life. So I want to give you these questions for you to ask yourself, and you create that conversation with your intuition and yourself to find the answers for what I'm about to ask you. And the next question I want to ask you is, how are you reassuring yourself that you come first before anybody? Would you rather run a few errands for a friend than go to the gym that day? Or would you rather skip brushing your teeth and breakfast because you're gonna give your other friend or your sister a ride? Of course, sometimes you have to go out of your way for people, but how are you showing up for yourself? How do you show yourself that you come first? And the next question is, how do you maintain your dignity and respect? We can measure our current efforts of showing up for ourselves by asking these questions. If I ask you, how do you maintain your dignity and respect? And you say, I don't know, I don't know. Or sometimes you'll realize, damn, I don't. I let anyone talk to me crazy and I just move however anyone wants me to move. That's a clear indication of like where you stand, right? And how much you do show up for yourself and how much you do have that self-advocacy that we're gonna get into in a bit. But these are questions that I'm asking you about how you show yourself love. And what I mentioned earlier is also the love that you surround yourself with. The large factor impacting this area is really the people you surround yourself with. When you leave, how do you feel? Do you feel drained or do you feel uplifted? Do you feel like it was a waste of time, or do you feel like you didn't want to leave? And when they make jokes or comments, are they funny and uplifting, or are they just mean? Or maybe you just don't understand them, right? And most importantly, do you feel like you can be vulnerable and still feel safe with them? Jeez, if that's one of the biggest red flags about friendships and relationships these days, is Are you safe enough to be vulnerable with them? That's tough. I want to read you something from the book that I wrote down as I was planning this video, because I want to say this word for word. The answer to these questions, when you think about the people in your life, will tell you about the relationships you have with them. So don't be afraid of the enlightenment you receive. Now you got to set aside me time. Take away your job, school, kids, all the obligations thrown at you out of necessity. Throw them out the window for a second. If you didn't have to deal with that, what would you spend your time doing? Don't worry about capitalism. Don't worry about money. Don't worry about bills. Don't worry about your kids. Don't worry about your husband. Don't worry about your friends, your girlfriend, anything else. Don't worry about that. Would you spend some time decorating? Don't worry about the supplies and the resources. Don't worry about how you're going to get this. Would you spend time doing dance classes? Would you take up graphic design? What are these things that you would like genuinely interested and want to do that are going to expand your creativity and just fill you up with joy? The type of activities that I'm describing to fill in the me time is because these are things where you can just show up, be, and do, and there's no specific outcome. The only outcome is to show up for yourself. I'm asking you is, what obligations do you have set aside for yourself? Right? This is that me time. This is you showing up for yourself. This is you showing yourself that you are lovable and that you deserve it. And to amplify all of this, you gotta accomplish your goals. If it's not accomplishing goals, then I need you to at least start writing to-do lists and then start checking them off physically as you complete them. Time and time again, I'm saying this over and over again. And I'm going to read to you again because I don't even want to mess up my words. I want you to know exactly what I was writing down. You see my big book of secrets. Hey, I got a few of them. Watch out. In order to love yourself, you need to trust yourself. But to trust yourself, you need to have respect for yourself. So how do we cultivate self-respect? By doing the things we said we were going to do. Showing up for yourself every day because you deserve it. Remember, showing up for yourself also means standing firm in your boundaries, communicating your boundaries, telling people what you like and what you don't like, how you prefer to be treated, walking away from situations that don't serve you, okay? And that is also called what? Self-advocacy. Look into that more. Maybe I'll do another video about it. I want to go back and break down what I had just said, because the thing about loving yourself, it's the reason why you don't love yourself is because there's like this betrayal that you've caused or that you went through at some point down in your life. There is this pain, someone hurt you, or you fell into the situation and you feel like dumb because you got into it, right? By accomplishing your goals, setting boundaries, having self-advocacy, that fosters that trust within yourself. And the more that you practice being there for yourself, not condemning yourself, loving yourself, comforting yourself, telling yourself the next time you make a mistake that you're just learning, wait till you see the bigger picture, showing up for yourself, not putting yourself down. Your inner child is like, how could you do that? How could you let that happen to us? How could we ever be in that type of situation? And so there's this distrust, right? And especially when you have this image of you that you wish to be, or like you have these goals that you want to accomplish and you don't achieve those and you don't become that person, right? So there's this distrust that you keep, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the relationship that you have with yourself just gets more distant and distant and distant. So that self-love that you don't have is really tied to the trust that you lost within yourself. So how do we cultivate that trust? You do the things that you said you were going to do, and by doing that, you're building that respect. And the people that you respect, it's usually because you trust them. You trust them to show up how they say they're going to show up. You trust them to do the work that they said they were going to do the work. You trust them to hold their word how they said they were going to hold their word. And that is what leads you to that respect, right? Because they're there for you, or they're committed to whatever it is that they do in their lives that you recognize them for. Your inner child can start to trust you. You start to trust you. And that is how you get to self-love. But as you grow your self-love, there is something you need to know. The healing is not linear. I'm telling you this right now, and I'm preparing you this because if you're really ready to take on this journey, the healing hurts. It's a lot. Ugly, cry it out. Get angry, rage, throw shit around if you need to, scream at the top of your lungs. The healing is so ugly. And at the times you're at these high times where things are going good, you know, you're really healing. But then boom, shit is low. You're low, you're at a low point, and you're like, what? I thought I was doing all this work. I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all this work. Yeah, you are doing the work. You're doing the most powerful work in those moments. Healing is not linear, so the low moments after the high moments are the potent, energetic shifts that transforms you the most. A lot of healing happens in those dark times. I mean, you're facing the darkest parts of you, and that's a lot. But remember, those are the most powerful, transforming moments. Don't look at it as this is happening to you. Always remember that these things happened for you. And I want to say congratulations for sticking through all the way to the end of this video, because this is you showing up.